Hello and welcome everybody to our July edition of the Startup Grind Barcelona online event. Today we have a special edition prepared for you. It's an online panel with three awesome speakers that I'm going to introduce to you in a few minutes. My name is Andrea. I'm part of the Startup Grind Barcelona team. You're probably used to seeing Alex, our chapter director, hosting these events. Today we decided to mix it up a little bit and also let Alex be on his well-deserved holidays in Greece. For those of you who don't know us yet, Startup Grind is the largest community of entrepreneurs and startups with over 600 chapters spread in 125 countries worldwide. We are a bit over 5 million community members, and our values that we live by are make friends, not contacts, give first before you take, and help others before you help others before you help yourself. We believe in connecting entrepreneurs, founders, investors, and innovators through our events to give them a possibility to learn from each other and to co-create projects together. Here in Barcelona, our chapter has been around for 7 years. Usually we host monthly events, physical monthly events, and also annual conferences at a larger scale with 600, 700 attendees. And then last year, as all of you know, COVID happened, so we moved our events online. But having said that, we are planning to come back with our physical events in September. So stay tuned and follow our social media channels and subscribe to our newsletter to stay up to date with that. So fingers crossed, we will be back with physical events soon. All right, and without further ado, let me introduce you to the speakers that we have in our panel today. We are being joined by Nora Fernández Jimenez, the CEO and co-founder from All Women, the first tech academy by women and for women, where women can study tech-related courses such as web development, UX design, and such. Hello, Nora, welcome, and thank you so much for being here.
Hello, super happy to be here today. Thank you.
Then we're being joined by Andrea Garcia, the CEO and co-founder of Mjoy, a female well-being app with offering over 300 audio sessions where women can explore themselves, improve their sex life, and boost their self-confidence. Welcome to the panel, Andrea, and thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me and for the intro.
And last but not least, Nora Vallcorba, CEO and co-founder of Nora Real Food, a food delivery service based here in Barcelona and specialized in homemade, fresh, and healthy food, delivering to the office, home, and catering for events. Hello, Nora, and welcome, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Nasia. Pleasure is mine.
All right, let's dive right into it and start by hearing a bit about your founding stories. All of you come from very different backgrounds, from different industries. Maybe let's start with how your businesses came to life, how the ideas came about. For example, Laura, when you decided to create an academy for women only, how did that idea come to life? And were you worried about receiving backlash with regards to discrimination?
So I think I have to go a little bit back. So I come from media, and 8 years ago, more or less, I came back to Barcelona and I found out about the startup ecosystem, education, technology, co-working, that it was like super new to me. I did this knowing through Makers of Barcelona. Probably you know, it's one of the first co-workings here in Barcelona. And I was amazed by the power of, you know, that group of people, not only building community, but trying to challenge the status quo and starting, you know, companies with social impact and, you know, trying to, solve some of the world challenges. So I joined that community, and within that community is where I learned everything about technology, startups, education. We were very focused on these three aspects, so technology and education and entrepreneurship, and there we start developing educational programs to try to bridge technology and young people, let's say. And I remember that we were looking at this gap between technology, young people, and employment, and we realized that the gap was even bigger when you were looking at technology and women. So at this point, and having had like experience working with education and technology, we decided to start our project focusing on women, education, and technology. And to be honest, All Women is a pivot of a previous experience that it was called Future Funded, that it failed, but it took me to later on create All Women. Sort of, this is how we started.
All right, nice. No, that's really interesting. And did you receive any kind of criticism when you started telling people about the idea, when you started talking maybe to investors or partners to cooperate with around like, why is it only women? Were there any concerns around, discrimination in that sense?
Yeah. So at the very beginning, I think I got like a good bunch of question marks and criticisms, let's say, and that was now before All Women, so with Future Funded, so 4 years from now. But I have to say that within this time frame of 4 years, I don't receive the same amount of criticism or question marks that I was receiving 4 years ago. So there is an improvement and an open mind progress, let's say. But at the very beginning, yes, very, very much. But I wasn't taking like personal or anything, I was trying to explain, the ones that they had like, the interest to learn why. I was super happy to have the conversation. The ones, they weren't open to have a conversation about this topic. I was like, okay, well, forget it. I'm not going to invest my time trying to explain you that. But it has improved a lot, and we received like much less criticism. So that's good, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's definitely good to hear. Andrea, your product is an app for the improvement of the female pleasure and sexual well-being. How did the idea come about? And also, similar question, did you have difficulties pitching the product, for example, raising fundings? Were there difficulties from investor side to understand the value proposition or the problem?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So the idea came to life. I've always wanted to start a business. I remember when I was studying my career, and when I graduated, I thought I have no experience, I have no knowledge of what I could do. So I decided to join venture capital, and I spent there 4.5 years because I thought that would give me maybe a lot of knowledge to start my business at some point. And the idea of MJoy came to life because I came across a study that I found super shocking. The study was saying how 40% of women have some sort of sexual dysfunction. And that sounds like a super ugly word, but it's super common. Like the most common sexual dysfunctions in women are women having a low libido and women having difficulties to attain orgasms. And when we started talking to sex therapists, we realized that very little women seek treatment because female sexuality was still such a big taboo, and that a lot of women lived with those insecurities for many years without seeking any help. And having been in venture capital, I had seen the success of meditation apps and fitness apps, and I was really surprised not to find something similar focusing on female sexual well-being. So when I saw that, it ticked all my boxes, and I decided to quit my job in VC and start MJoy. And it is true that at the very beginning when we started, people were like, what are you starting? Is this a foreign company? What is this supposed to be? It will be very hard for you because like taboo businesses do not get funding. A lot of men, it is true that they didn't understand the problem at first. So we had to educate a lot about the market because some people were saying that our market was niche. When 40% of women having a sexual dysfunction, I wouldn't call that a niche, right? But as Laura was saying, it has improved a lot, right? Since we started, and we had a very hard time talking to investors, and now a lot of investors are approaching us because they want to invest in this sector. And in fact, we have been quite successful fundraising. We started the business 2 years ago, and we have raised 3.5 million euros in funding already. So thank God, it has been quite good.
Nice. Yeah, that's good news for sure. Thanks for that. And Nora, can you tell us something about how Nora Real Food came to life? Because you founded it with your mother, right? I mean, what's that like, founding a business with your mom?
Well, it's kind of like a love story, but sometimes it's a bit like I I also sometimes like get angry with her, but it's a nice project, and I love it. Like we founded Nora 3 years ago. It's well, we started the project because like my mom, we're two Noras, like Nora, my mom, that she's the one who knows how to cook, and me, that I really don't know how to cook. And if I have time, I rather prefer going to the gym, like going to have some drinks with friends, whatever. So some years ago, I was working for a corporate company, and they were paying me my daily food. But the thing was that I was trying to look for, like, I don't know, like restaurants or a daily service, but there was no one giving me like healthy food. So I was taking like food from my home to the office, but that was not the solution that I was looking for. So that's why we started like traveling, going to London, New York, where everything and where like ready meals are much more like developed. So that's why we started Nora, and we founded Nora.
Nice, nice. Sounds good. Laura, when you in the past you used to work in Makers of Barcelona. For those viewers who don't know it, it's a co-working here in Barcelona, but it's more than a co-working because it's also acting as an academy, as an agency, and a community to bring people together. So Laura, from your past experience working at Makers of Barcelona, where you also built a community, what were the learnings that you could apply within All Women to found a community there? And did you see any kind of differences in terms of what's it like when you create a mixed community and a female only?
Yeah, so yeah, as you said, like community was is a big part and a big ingredient of Makers of Barcelona, and I think I learned that there, and the power, you know, that a community has when it has like a common objective and goal. And that for me was like super impressive. So I tried to translate that to a community of women towards technology, but also towards women. You know, I think that's the big umbrella, let's say, and then we have like different focus inside. Within that community, within MOB, I learned, you know, the potential of having, you know, people from different parts of the world, different opinions, different, you know, ideas, but having, you know, a shared sense or similar sense of the world. And as I said, I, you know, try to translate this to all women. When you are asking me about like differences between mix in gender, you know, in terms of gender and non-mixed community, I don't think between these two communities there is a big difference. I think we share like very similar, you know, values as human beings that we are. But it's true that maybe then, you know, the conversations and the topics we talk about it, there are some of them that are like common. So, you know, environmental challenges, educational challenge. But then there are some, you know, within All Women that are more niche, you know, conversations. So we're going to talk about like, yeah, sexual well-being or period health or, you know, control of our bodies, things that are very specific, affecting women today. So I think maybe that's the difference, right? The specific topics that affect us as women, but then there are like big values and big goals that we both share, you know, the community of Makers of Barcelona and ours, and that I learned from MOB, and then I, you know, pass to All Women.
That's great. That's great stuff. Talking about female well-being, Andrea, So you first launched Enjoy in the UK, US, and Spain, and then only later worldwide. So from what you saw, what are the markets? So where are most of your customers based, first of all, and in which markets did you see that the product had gained more traction in comparison to others?
So the first decision that we had to take, because we are a 15 people team, all of us based in Barcelona, most of us are Spanish, and the first decision that we had to take is whether we did our product in Spanish and addressing Spanish-speaking markets or in English. And it is true that maybe it came more natural to us to do it in Spanish since it's our mother tongue. But having analyzed a bit the market, we're a content business, so all our product is audio-based. And we realized that English-speaking countries are more prone and convert better to paying users than in Spanish-speaking markets. So the first decision that we took was, okay, let's go for English-speaking countries. And we started testing with a very small group of users in the US and the UK. That's why we decided to open those two markets first, and also Spain, because here we had the testers, family investors who could try the app. And after 3-4 months of testing, making sure that all the data, the attribution, the tracking, everything was working properly, we decided to open up the app worldwide. And what has happened ever since, it's still very similar to what we had in the beginning. Our first market is the US, and our second market is the UK. I would say that 80% of our users came from those two markets. And then we also have Canada, Australia, New Zealand, some of the Nordics, but mainly English-speaking countries.
You mentioned something interesting just now. So you said you saw from the English-speaking countries, they have a higher tendency to convert, to pay, to become paying customers. Do you think that's the main factor, or is maybe the mentality another factor that is like bigger or as big as that one? Like, could you, from the data that you saw, could you draw any conclusions on maybe how open certain societies are for this kind of product, and whether in other countries it's still more of a taboo?
Sure. I don't know how data informed it is what I'm about to say, but before launching, we tested both markets, like with ads, with landing pages, and we saw that actually in English-speaking countries, there was a lot of engagement. So it seems that the more taboo a topic is, maybe you see more engagement or people willing to use your product. So I think that we would get a lot of users from those countries. But when we actually looked at the conversion rate, right, to people interested in buying or starting a free trial, the difference was really, really big. And that was why we decided. So it was 100% based on the conversion rate that we thought those users would have.
Nice. Yeah, makes sense. You just mentioned the paid ads. So coming from a paid marketing background myself, I'm naturally curious from the topic, because you advertise through the paid channels, and having gone personally through the pains of like restrictions and Google ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, how do you manage the limitations there? Because maybe some of the platforms categorize the product as adult content, right?
Yeah, for us, paid marketing is a pain in the ass, and sorry for it, but I think it's one of our biggest challenges. Because when we started, we got ads rejected very frequently, but very soft ads saying things like, explore your body with our guided practices, or well-being sessions to feel better, like super neutral and content that was super vanilla. And we still got those ads rejected until in October last year. So we got banned from Facebook completely. And Facebook was our first acquisition channel. So we were acquiring 60% of our users through Facebook, and Facebook decided to ban our whole category, ourselves and competitors. So what we had to do is very early on start focusing on organic growth. That's the first thing. And the second thing, we had to diversify a lot our paid channels. And we have tested, I don't know, many channels for being this young. So our main acquisition channel at the moment is Snapchat, Pinterest, Spotify ads, like channels that maybe wouldn't be as traditional for other startups. But this is still a challenge that we're trying to figure out, if I'm honest with you.
Really interesting, but also great that you discovered alternative channels where you can continue acquiring customers, no? So Nora, originally you have a background in marketing and customer relationship management, having worked at retail and fashion companies such as Cuti, Desigual, but then also Glovo, which is a big delivery service company here in Barcelona. How was the change for you towards the food delivery industry, and how did you maybe use your previous experience in marketing and customer relationship management when you founded Nora Real Food?
I think like Glovo, for example, like taught me like to take risks and move fast. When I joined Glovo, we were 6 employees, so everything was trying, hands-on attitude, and growing fast. It was something like I loved. I knew I was going to go back to startup companies, but anyway, I also like wanted to try a big corporation. You know, like they say, big corporations, they are like schools where you learn everything, and where you can learn like processes, where you get to know like a lot of people. And there's also a thing that you have when you work for a multinational, like you have resources, you have money, and you have like some kind of things that then like later on, once you are in a startup, you don't have this kind of resources. So I learned like both things a bit of like hands-on attitude and move fast and trying to get things done even if it's not perfect. But I also learned about like processes, and I was focused on marketing, like client first approach. So yeah, so I think I've learned a lot like about retention. Even we still don't have like a loyalty program in Nora soon. But yeah, but anyway, I think everything has been useful.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Being a customer myself of Nora Real Food, I think it's I think it conveys like this what you said, the client focused attitude, or like attention to detail. So yeah, no, definitely makes sense. Let's talk a bit about COVID, how it affected your businesses and how you navigated the businesses out of it, right? So Laura, I actually it was a positive surprise for me to hear that your business wasn't actually affected negatively by that. It actually presented an opportunity for you to expand, right? Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so for us from 2019 to 2020, we doubled our business. And it is true that at the first sight, right, it was like, well, I think that was global, no? What's going on here? But we react like super fast. So at that time, we had like currently courses that were working. So we decided to, move them from the day that the alarm, started to the next day, like going, from in person to 100% remote. And we ask our students to give us, constant feedback to adapt the methodology and everything to this online format. And so super quickly, we will learn how to provide, our classes in an online format. That being said, that we teach technology, so we already use a lot of, digital platforms and everything we learn in those courses are already digital and technological. So it wasn't, a big, super big thing, but we had to adapt the learning methodology to online that used to be in person. So with that experience with our students that we had at that time, so we realized that now being able to provide these courses online, we couldn't launch the courses not only in Barcelona but worldwide. So we start promoting and doing marketing of our courses and in outside Barcelona, so within Spain, but as well as in Europe, right? And at the same time, we started as well creating community and events with other communities and partners and speakers that were, in other countries. Something that before, we couldn't imagine, because everyone wanted to have like events in person, classes in person. So all of a sudden, like the world understood that was, the way of continue, with our with our lives. So frontiers kind of like disappear and open like massive possibilities for us in a record time. So because I think we were always saying and talking about like how about to have like online courses, and and we weren't like 100% sure, but in the end I think that situation made us a favor, let's say, because it accelerates something in a super fast way that it will be happen anyways, in maybe 1 year time or 2 year times. And so at this moment, like almost 50% of our current students are outside Barcelona, and meaning Spain and Germany, UK, Netherlands, the US, Portugal, like mostly Europe. And yeah, so we have 50-50 in Barcelona, 50% around Europe. So for us, that was like, it was amazing, to be honest.
Yeah, sounds really good. In a way, blessing in disguise, so to say. So no, that's great to hear. But the fact that all women turned into this kind of hybrid academy, where some students are in Barcelona and being able to attend, to come to the actual offices and spaces and attend the physical classes, but then also having part of the students participating remotely. How does this hybrid mix? Where do you find challenges in maintaining the feeling of community if you have this mix of remote but then also physical presence?
Yeah, so at this moment I would say it's 90% online and 10% in person. I think we have people, we have used to get used to it to work remotely. So even though we have our physical space open and ready, students, as for now, also because the situation is not 100%, done, let's say, as for now, they prefer to study remotely, but then come for the, like physical gatherings, drinks on Fridays. So until now, we were doing this like, an experiment, right? So we were having those drinks like with, the screen there. Some of the students were together. Some others were in different countries, but it was kind of like fun to have that social digital experiment. I think we need to keep like experimenting how to do this social hybrid part, because for the learning part it's like super efficient, like because like maybe today you have class at 6:30 but you end up work late, so maybe this commuting time you save that time actually, so it's much more convenient for you, or maybe you have your kids at home or whatever. So to have this possibility of connecting remote, I think is opening the options to upskill women, because in the end we take care of like so many things, like our life is like super packed and busy. So that option I think is opening doors for women that maybe before they couldn't think about it. But then the social aspect that is very important for women, because in the end we're like humans and we need to see each other and touch each other. So that's the part we still need to improve in the next years to come. I don't know if I'm like maybe advancing, and maybe you want to ask this later, but the idea is to have like some physical hubs in different regions of Europe. So these chances of getting together for the social aspect of a women is going to be easier, let's say.
Yeah, no worries at all about
yeah, sorry, yeah,
really, no worries at all. I mean, it's really relevant. It's nice. It's nice that you're finding like solutions in between, like in the meantime for this hybrid model, but then also in the future thinking about establishing new hubs for those new, let's say, new joiners in the new places to get together and form another community, right? And have
exactly.
more physical presence there as well. That's great to hear. So Andrea, in your case, COVID didn't have a negative impact on the business either. And actually, on the contrary, because with more indoors time last year, the women had more available time to explore themselves, so to say. What can you tell us about that?
Sure. The truth is that we launched the app to the market 2 months before COVID started. So I cannot really say how it changed our business because our business started during COVID, right? But what we saw compared to the 2 first months that we were live, from the period from March till June of last year, we saw our paying subscriptions triple. So actually we gathered a lot of organic growth from those 3 months, which helped us grow a lot. So that you understand it better, within the app, we have 2 sections. We have the well-being section, which is focused towards self-improvement goals, like I want to accept my body, increase my libido. And we do that section with sex therapists, and it feels more like psychological support, if you wish, a bit like homework. And then we have the stories, which are erotic stories for users to get in the mood. And what we saw during that period from March until June last year is that our users were more interested in well-being sessions. So they were in need of more emotional support, I guess. And compared to this period this year, so from March till June this year, what is more popular within the app are the erotic stories. So we actually saw that during that time, users needed more support. And of course, we saw more engagement. In fact, we have 3 times, today we have 3 times more users than in that same period last year, but during that period we saw more unique heavy users than we do today. So we had more users listening to 10 audio sessions per week a year ago than today, right? So we felt that people had more time at home and they don't have this time at the moment. And that's why we were doing like different strategies for users to be a bit more top of mind, if you wish. Like we put in place a CRM strategy, which we didn't have, so that we can remind users to come back to the app. We're putting a laser focus on content personalization, so that when you open the app, you already find the content that you're ready to consume, rather than browsing through an entire library, because you don't have that much time at home anymore, right? But we were lucky, and COVID had a positive impact, and it's actually what helped us raise our seed round, which was really nice.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. What about in terms of the most active users? Did you see a different demographic being more active during the lockdown, and then this demographic changing and another group becoming the more active users, or has it stayed the same?
It has stayed the same. And this is one of the strategic projects for this year, because our audience is pretty young. Most of our users are in their early 20s, and this hasn't changed. Basically, back then they were listening to 10 audio sessions per week, which is crazy. Now on average, they are listening to 4 audio sessions per week, and the split has changed more towards stories and entertainment rather than emotional support. And one of the strategic projects, maybe you'll ask it or not, but I'll tell you about it. We're trying to expand now to older audiences, introducing content like fertility, having children, being married, menopause, right? Like some sort of content that's more interesting or more appealing to older audiences as well.
That's super interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Nora, so as a food delivery company, then of course COVID impacted your business, unfortunately, in a negative way, with all of the offices being shut down, people working from home. Can you tell us more about it? How it affected maybe changes in staff that you have to make with employees in terms of revenue loss and sales loss?
Yeah, so for us, like as we are like more like a B2C model, B2C, B2B, from one day to the other, like everything changed, like offices were shut down and they didn't have like plans to go back, So at first, like we had like a team meeting and we decided like to host an ERTE. But then like hospitals were going like so crowded, and we were thinking like, what can we do? Like, we are not going to stay home. Like, we need to do something, even if offices are closed. Like, we know how to cook, so let's do what we know. So then we started thinking And some of our colleagues and friends, they were doctors, and they told us that some canteens in some hospitals, they were closed. So some doctors that like they didn't had time to eat. So that's why we started like cooking and delivering meals but this was like volunteering. It was not, we didn't like earn money with that. But it was like to make something, you know, because everything was like paralyzed. So the problem was that we started like serving like maybe like 100 menus, that then they were like 300 and then 400 every day. So we started like a crowdfunding to get money to cover the cost of these menus for the hospitals. Later on, like after 1 month and a half, like we also like, I don't know if I told that, but we decided to host like an ERTE with employees. But later on, like after we delivered food to the hospitals, we partnered Globo to see how like the B2C model was. So we started like serving food from their like dark kitchens and from their like from their supermarkets, and it was great, really. Like sales were great, but it was not our model. But we learned a lot about it, and obviously, like in the future, we will have like B2C model. But as now like activity has been like a little bit like back, we will do it like maybe a little bit more in the future. So then we also like used like the time that we had to start doing some things, like for example like website improvement. We also had like a lot of projects that we didn't have time to do. For example, like we have in some companies we're using like an hybrid model, like there are some fridges so people can order food online, but there's also food in the fridge, and this fridge can detect like every day what people take from the fridge. Okay, so yeah, we started like looking at at new projects and some stuff that because we didn't have time, we were not doing. And also we realized that some companies that they were not in Barcelona, we were always focusing in Barcelona, but there are companies in Sant Cugat, Sabadell, or like in the surroundings, that they are factories or chemical industries, and people was going to the office there. So like in September, yeah, like COVID was in March, like in September, we were almost back in volumes, like in volumes of sales. But anyway, more or less the impact has been that we've lost, like we had like a business plan, and we've lost 1 year of sales, more or less, you know, 1 year of growing, because like everything was like stopped. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's of course, that's we're sad to hear that, but at the same time, we're happy to hear that you discovered those new opportunities, right? Delivering also to the outskirts of Barcelona, well, outskirts to other places outside of Barcelona, like Sabadell, and other types of offices as well.
Yeah, and now they are like one of our top customers, like outside Barcelona, because like they don't have more food options. So the thing is that yeah, it has been an opportunity for us also, because like there are some big corporations and multinationals that they have big canteens in their offices. Okay, and because now they are going to implement maybe like 2 days work from home and 3 days at the office. And when you make an agreement with companies who hold like this kind of canteens, like Eurest, well, I don't know if you know them, but Eurest, Aramark, Sodexo, this kind of big corporations, you have to cover a minimum of volumes. Like, for example, like, okay, I can make you these prices if I have like 1,000 menus every day. And because of COVID, now companies, they are not able to give this minimum to this kind of like big canteens. So what has happened to us is also that big companies that we were thinking that maybe in 3 years we would be able to contact them, they are writing us like, hey, I need like a more flexible model. Are you open to see like new solutions for this, blah, blah, blah. So it has been an opportunity for us.
That's great. That's great to hear. All right, we're going to start taking on questions from the audience. And we'll start with a question by Martin, who wants to know all of your opinions on decentralized workforce. Is it more on the up also due to pandemic? On the up, so this is my interpretation of the question, like whether right now decentralized workforce is becoming of a more important and a crucial factor to tackle due to the pandemic, and how would you guys see it within your respective businesses? Like how you changed maybe the rules within your status in terms of working, in terms of like present, like in person working, or allowing working from home, flexible working hours?
Yeah, should I maybe I answer? Yeah, I mean, for us, it's been like in decentralization we trust, let's say. Like everything is decentralized for us now. Like our instructors, you know, they are in Ireland or in London, in Berlin, our students as well, and our team as well. And I think, I mean, this is great. This is like raising the quality of life of everyone, of our employees, of our clients. And it's been proved that it works because we have the technology that is supporting that. So I think it's a matter of, you know, applying, having the mindset, applying creativity, applying trust in everyone, in all the stakeholders, building trust as well. And I think it's something that is here to stay, at least. In all women, it's gonna stay, and yeah, and it's opening for us like incredible opportunities. So being able to work with an instructor that works for LinkedIn in Ireland is amazing. Before it couldn't be possible because she's in Ireland, we're in Barcelona. How she's gonna teach 3 days per week, right? So now our students have the chance to learn from this person that works at LinkedIn, and the same with everything. So in our case, our team is very international. So we have one person is from South Africa, another is from the States, another is from China. So, and everyone is able, you know, to keep working at All Women, but also they are able to visit their families. So, you know, they are happier. So I think that's you know, a great revelation for us, and I hope for us is for sure that it's going to stay, and I hope this stays for, you know, like all companies or all companies that can allow to work remotely.
In our case, before COVID, I was super against remote work. I was super afraid of it. My co-founder always fought for it because he used to be a freelancer before co-founding MJ with me. And I had the misconception that maybe working remotely, people wouldn't work as much, or that there wouldn't be like this team building atmosphere, or like, I don't know. And we used to eat together every day here in the kitchen. So with COVID, all changed. And now we're a full remote company. I'm super happy about it. It's working super nicely, and we will stay full remote. We've kept the office, and we do workshops in the office, and we try to see each other once every 2 weeks if there is a workshop where you need more creativity or seeing each other. But I think that we will stay fully remote, and it's working quite well. And it has also enabled us to hire talent from London, Madrid, Milan, which is something that we wouldn't have been able to do before. So I'm super happy with a remote first structure.
For me, like for us, it's a bit more difficult, as like we can divide like the company in two parts. Like there's the kitchen and then there's the office. So the kitchen obviously has to go, because like if not, like you can't cook. So chefs and logistics, they really have to go to the office, because if not, like meals can't be delivered. But anyway, like sales, marketing, like nutrition, communication, operations, finance, everyone can work remotely. We kind of have like, well, we can obviously work remotely, but we have 1-2 days per week that we go to the office also to see the chefs and to work together and make like some like team buildings and stuff like this. So we kind of have like both of them.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So we got another question from Victor in the audience asking, having survived the pandemic and looking back, what is something that you would have done better or differently? And maybe is there any kind of advice that you can give to other founders who might be in a similar situation?
In our case, so if I understood the question correctly, is what could we have done differently when the pandemic started if we did some mistakes? Is that the question?
Yeah, maybe not mistakes as such, but something that now looking back at it, you think this is what I could have done better, or done in a different way.
When COVID started, I remember that our marketing manager was saying like, hey, we need to do offers and discounts because people will be at home for, these 2 weeks, because at first it was going to be 2 weeks. And I was like, no, come on, we won't be doing anything for 2 weeks, a month, right? Let's leave it as it is. And suddenly 1 week after the other, a full year, right? So I guess now with perspective, I think we could have acted much quicker to give content for free, and knowing that people were at home, and we could have grown more, I guess, if we would have leveraged that knowledge. But at the beginning we were like, no, let's pass on this, because we think that people or life will go back to normal after 2 or 4 weeks.
Well, in our case, I mean, we reacted the minute after the alarm state. So maybe that sounds a bit cocky from my side, but I think we did it like super well, and I'm very proud of our team, how we reacted, the energy we put it inside, like everything that came out from that. So it's just to say that we wouldn't have done anything in a different way, right? But I feel that way.
Not cocky at all. I mean, definitely something to be proud of, for sure.
Yeah, I'm also like super proud like of my team. Like everyone came like volunteering, and everyone was hands-on attitude and helping other departments. So I'm happy how we did it. If I would have changed something, was that just like before COVID, we were about to close an investment round, and half of the capital came in, but because of COVID, the remaining 2 tickets, they pulled back. And we had like 4 or 5 investors that they were really interested, and they were only 2 tickets. So, but anyway, because of the COVID, they didn't came in, and now we are going to do like another investment round. But maybe like closing the tickets and like cash is always like a value that you have to have in your company. So yeah, maybe I would have changed that. Like I would have like entered the tickets like in a faster way, that we were able to do it. But because we were not in a rush, we were like, okay, we'll see.
All right, makes sense. Thanks everybody for sharing. So Alex, our own Alex, has a question for all of you, which is, what's the one question you've never asked? You are never asked in interviews, but you would like to get it. And then what's a question you get all the time, which you wish you wouldn't get anymore? And I hope I didn't have one of those questions that you wish you never receive again in this panel.
I hate questions about being a female founder, and that gets asked very frequently. Is it harder being a female founder in a taboo space to raise money? Or these sort of questions, I really hate them, and I get them very, very often.
Like
Yeah, maybe.
No, you can go, Laura.
Yeah. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, I think like similar to Andrea, I always get that question, and yeah, I would love this stop. Why an academy for women by women, a tech academy for women by women, like all the time.
Like for me, the question is always like, how do you manage having all this food in the office? Like you can't stop eating. That's one of the questions. Then there's the question like, but I don't hate it. Like, how's about like working with your mom? Is it hard? Like, how do you deal with it? And the other one is like being young sometimes, and the team. There's like the team that, well, there's people that is older than you, and there's obviously like two Noras, like the senior one and the young one. So that's also like the other question they have.
All right. Then we've got a question from Stella, who's asking, what's an important lesson, or maybe the most important lesson that you learned when founding your businesses, and what kind of advice would you, based on that, give to other founders who are in their early stages right now?
Sure.
First. Should I go?
Go ahead, yeah.
For us, for me, one big mistake I did is that I started on my own without a founding team. So I think it's very important, or it will be easier for you if you start with a founding team early on. And if it's a digital business, I think a CTO would be great. And do not externalize technology. Try to have a CTO. This doesn't apply to other businesses, but in our case, that was super important. So the first 3 months, I was like blind finding that founding team, and I wish I had done it sooner. And I had started the business with the CTO and the sex therapist from the very beginning. That was one learning or something that I would do differently. And then I'm very happy for one thing, and it's the fact that MJoy for me, it motivates me on a personal level. Like I feel this is something I've suffered. This is something that I feel that we're really doing something which is really good. And I cannot imagine being in a business which doesn't motivate me this much, because founding a business is really hard. So you have days where you think, oh my God, this is going to fail. This is crap, you know? And if I was doing something that didn't motivate me as much, I think it would have been extremely hard for me. I wouldn't be able to keep going. So my advice would be as well to do something that you're really passionate about or that you really believe in.
Yeah, Nora, you go first.
I really think, like as Andres has said, like for example, I started without a CTO, and I also started externalizing my website. So after 3 years, I still don't have a CTO, but I have some techies inside, and I'm looking for one. But this is really important. Like if you are going to have like a website or some platform or whatever, I think like having some co-founders or someone who really understands websites and Python and all this, it's really useful. Also, the team is really, really, really important. So you have to look for those people, take care about them, listen always to them, and yes, and yeah, and also try to. For me, it has been like really useful to ask for help, like not help, but talk to people and learn from them, and talk with other founders and look what they have done. Look also if they have done mistakes, because there are like a lot of mistakes. For example, like I have some friends that they come and they say, no, I will start this, and then I tell them, look, okay, like for example, I would go, like I would have like an intern CTO, like a lot of things that I would change if I would like start Nora now.
Yeah, for me, the main thing, I'm with Andrea and Nora, like do something that you really care about it, and you believe in that vision and mission of the business. Because as Andrea said, to start a business is hard. So to care about what you are trying to solve, it makes a big difference. And for me, it's always like my gasoline, right? Well, something like eco gasoline, let's say. That's one thing. Yeah, do something you care about it. Another thing for me that is being going on is like try to test fast and to put your hypothesis the faster you can outside, because I think we tend to look for this, super perfection. I mean, we have to be accurate and professional and everything, but sometimes I think we're looking for a perfection of something that we still don't know if it's going to work. And I think the sooner you put it outside, the faster you get feedback from your users, the faster then you can deliver a service that makes sense for your customers. So yeah, to have this culture of testing and putting out like fast, that's been very helpful for me. And also start your business with some kind of economical resources. It can be like different levels. It can be, I don't know, like a small amount, or you can go to a round and fundraise money. But I think you have to be like the first person that is willing to invest on your project, and resources are going to be always needed to build a project, right? You need to spend or invest to later on win. So also I would recommend that.
Adding to what Laura has said in the same line, I would advise, a lot of people will be against this, but take as much money as you can early on. Take as much as you can, because building a product, it will take longer than you expected, and finding product market fit, you can go through that for years, right? And if you go to market and start looking for funding when you haven't found product market fit yet, or your metrics are so, you might fail, right? So my advice would be take as much money as you can, no? Cash is king, so yeah.
Yeah, like as Andrea has said, like this happened to me with COVID. So no, but the thing is, when you go to an investment round, you also like learn a lot, because they kind of when you go in a meeting with venture capital or whatever, like they ask you like a lot of things that you have to be sure about it. So you have to look like at your metrics. You have to look like a lot of stuff, and you have to get ready to to make like these meetings, and they also kind of like teach you. So I think it's really useful. And also about Laura, like she told, like you really have to be passionate about the company and about what you're doing, because there are obviously going to be like bad days and good days. I think we really love our job, but it's like your baby. So you're kind of like workaholic and you never disconnect. So you really have to love it. Like it's not as I want to start something. Like you have to believe in that. And if not, like you will find it. Like don't open something because you want to open something.
All of those were really, really useful piece of advice. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us and with the audience. As we have only 2 minutes left, let's maybe close it up with 1 or 2 rapid fire questions. We got a signature question here at Startup Grind that we love asking our speakers at the end of the event, which is, what's your useless superpower? This is something that you do like really well, but you cannot apply it like in life. It doesn't help you achieve anything, but it's just like something that you do really well. I don't know, like in my case, if you want an example, I know most of my favorite poems by heart, cannot use it anywhere, cannot apply it anywhere, but it's something that I can do. Well, what about yours?
That's a very nice one to have, even though it's useless, I would say. No, I don't think it's useless to know all your favorite points by heart. I think it's great. Well, sorry. I think I'm very good at like tidying up, everything in spaces and putting everything in the right order that it looks nice, but it's organized, but it's just kind of like a talk that I have, let's say, but it's useless.
It's super useful. Like if you by nature you know how to organize things, actually that's super useful.
But it becomes like an obsession, and then my partner makes fun of me, and so yeah.
Okay, got it. What about you, Andrea and Nora?
I would love to have that superpower, Laura, because I'm the opposite. I'm like a mess. I'm all over the place always. I'm really good at seeing somebody new and telling them, not telling them, but thinking, okay, you look like this animal, or you look like this other person I know. Like I'm really good at recognizing faces. And if I'm with somebody that we have like this person in common, they always go like, wow, you're right. They are really similar to that animal or to that person, right? So I'm good at face recognition, I guess.
Like for me, I'm really good at getting like random people together. Like sometimes my friends, they told me like, wow, but you have like taken like this one from different places, and maybe people that they don't have things in common, but I sometimes like mix everything, and then it's cool.
Nice. All right, very last question for the day. What's a really good piece of advice that you received recently? Earlier, we talked about some advice that you have for the founders in our audience who are also in the process of founding a business. What's a good piece of advice that you have received lately? And it doesn't have to be business related. It can be about life in general, about relationships, about anything.
Okay. One of the advices that they gave me once was the one that, do you want the job of your boss? Like, do you want it? Like, do you want his position? Because then you know if you want to continue in that department or in that company, whatever. And also another advice is to get surrounded with people that is better than you are. So try to look for people that they can that they are better than you and that they complement you. So yeah.
I like those. I'll take them. Thank you, Nora. I think there are different, like there is like a lot of like different kinds of success or successful life. Like decide, what is yours, and you can always as well like change over life and over time. But there is like many kinds of success.
This is hard. I've got two, I think, as well. One, a business advice, a fundraising advice, which I like that I got once. When you go looking for a round, it's always better if you're looking between, let's say, 500,000 euros and 1 million euros, always go with the lowest amount, because more investors will be willing to talk to you. And once you've got the 5K, it's easier to get the remaining 5K because you have el efecto rebaño. However, if you're looking for 1 million and you don't get to 1 million, it looks really bad on you. When you go talking to other investors, have you raised 1 million yet? No, I'm at 300K. That looks like really bad. So it's a better strategy, even though you want to raise more, to say that you're raising less, because it will have this momentum effect, I guess. And that's something that I found really helpful. And then on a personal level, I don't know, like I'm a control freak myself. I want to always have everything controlled in life and so on. And it's like somebody told me recently, like to chill, to let go and let life happen instead of making plans of everything all the time, I guess.
Also, like Andrea, like you said this, that you're sometimes like controlling like everything. They told me once, like sometimes you better launch something even if it's not perfect, because you learn a lot of stuff. So maybe your perception about what the product or the service, like I imagine this service like perfectly, but that wouldn't fit in the market. And if I launch something, then I learn about it, and then maybe I can change the product. So sometimes it's better, Laura told it like after, to try than keep like waiting.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Thank you, everybody. That was all of those were really helpful and valuable pieces of wisdom and advice. Thank you to the audience for tuning in. Thanks everybody who was there. Big thank you once again to all the three of you, Laura, Nora, and Andrea, for giving us your time, sharing your experiences, and being here with us. That's a wrap. Thanks everybody for being here, and see you very soon. And have a nice evening.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Nasia. Thank you, guys.